Hey, what's up, guys? How we doing? So last week was the 2013 MLB draft, and we looked at 8 different players drafted in the first round. Talked about some things that they do really well, some things that we can learn from them, especially for players that are in high school or college and hoping to one day be drafted. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to look at Oscar Mercado. He's a high school shortstop out of Florida. He was drafted 57th overall by the St. Louis Cardinals, and he actually just signed for $1.5 million. So he signed for well above slot. I think slot for his pick was, I think it was in like the 900,000s or somewhere around there. So getting almost $600,000 more than slot is a very big deal. So coming into the draft, some people had Mercado as their number one high school middle infielder. Some people had J.P. Crawford as their number one high school middle infielder. Crawford went first. He went in the middle of the first round to the Phillies. Mercado drops down to 57. So let's look at some of the things Mercado does, kind of compare him to Crawford, see which one we like better, and then also just see what we can learn, again, from another player that was offered $1.5 million, one of the best high school shortstops in the country. Let's look at some of the things that we could learn from him. So let's put the video in motion, take a look at him a little bit more, and continue to talk about him. So the first thing that I noticed really quickly is when I watched this, I thought to myself, well, he looks a little undersized. I thought maybe he was 5'10", 5'11". He's very skinny, and I was a little bit worried about that. And then I looked him up online a little bit more to do more research, and I saw that he's 6'2". So at 6'2", obviously a big difference from I thinking he's 5'10" to 6'2". Now he's 4 inches taller. He has a really good shortstop's body, and he moves well for a 6'2" kid. Now he's still very skinny, but the fact that he's 6'2", he has a little bit more room on his body to put weight on, which will increase his strength, and that's one big question mark right now. Or one thing I think he needs to add a lot of is strength, and you'll see it when we watch him swing a little bit. But so let's get into it. The reason Mercado, he does a lot of things really well, and what helps out players like this is when you're a player, especially in high school, that a scout can look at and project you to be a guy that's going to stay at shortstop. That is huge, and that's going to push you way up draft boards. There's not a lot of high school players that scouts can look at and say, I can see this guy playing shortstop in the big league level one day. There's a lot of shortstops in high school where scouts watch them and say, well, where else are we going to play this kid? Because he's not going to play short in the big leagues. Mercado, J.P. Crawford, those are two guys that you can look at and say, well, this guy has the ability to stay at shortstop. So automatically push up the draft board. Let's look a little bit more in depth in some of the things that he does. Now, you can tell he's a really athletic kid, has really good feet, has a good feel for shortstop, has a really strong arm. He has a lot of the tools that you say, well, this kid can definitely stick at shortstop. As far as how he does things, trying to learn things from him. I love the way he uses his feet. He takes good angles on balls, quick release, strong arm, like I said, all that good stuff. One thing that sticks out that I'm not a huge fan of is, I'm a big stickler for glove presentation skills and how you're going to show the glove to the ball. And I've never seen Mercado play in games, but I can see him in games sometimes making errors on maybe some routine balls that you didn't think he should make an error on, and I can see him making it just because he does a lot of stuff with his glove. He has a lot of glove taps. He's throwing the glove all over the place. He's late to show the glove to the ball sometimes. And these are just easy, routine ground balls to him. Now, I wonder in games, all of a sudden, the ball's hit hard or a ball's hit a little bit more challenging. And he's really late to show the glove to the ball. He has all kinds of stuff going on. So let's slow down one of these plays. We'll slow down this one right here and just look at it. So as the ball's hit, the very first thing he does, taps the glove, brings the glove out wide, has the back of his glove facing the ball. So this is the position he gets into a lot. And then as the ball gets really close, he turns the glove over and fields the ball. We'll look at it one more time on the next one. Let's go back a little bit. So ball's hit. Starts to make his way to the ball, taps the glove, goes back out wide, back of the glove to the ball, and then still the back of the glove, still, and now the glove just opens in time to field the ball. So again, he's a really talented player, has really good hands, good feet. He's from Florida. He plays probably a ton of shortstop. I bet you he plays all year round, and you can tell that. But if you're a player that maybe isn't as talented as Oscar Mercado, which for the 99.9% of us in the world, you might not have the physical tools that Mercado has. So you have to make sure you do everything a little bit more efficiently, a little bit more soundly. You can't always rely on supreme athleticism and supreme talent. That's one thing that you're really going to have to focus on. Other than that, I really like a lot of things he does. So he has pretty soft hands, feels the ball in the middle of his body. Here he just takes his time, shuffles, sets. Really strong arm. An arm that can definitely stick over at shortstop. When we go look at his backhand balls, which is right here, a little bit stiff, a little bit stabbing at the ball. Not terrible. This one's a little bit better, gets down a little bit earlier. But still, I think he could still present the glove to the ball earlier, especially on backhand balls. And that's when you're going to see younger infielders. The majority of their errors come on backhand balls because they don't present the glove early enough, they don't get low enough to the ground, they don't work from the ground up, all of those things. And it's the same thing here. Look at how late, here's the ball. The ball is about a foot in front of the glove, and his glove still isn't turned to the ball yet. And then at the last second, it's flashed the glove open. And if we go back to the one prior to this, I believe he does something similar. Let's check it out. Okay, so again, the ball is getting pretty close to the glove, and the glove is still not open, and then flash, last second, and it's a little bit of a stabbing action. So he has great hands. He's got good hands. He's, like I said, he's naturally talented, but these are some things I think he could clean up as he gets older that helps him it'll make him more consistent. Here's a double play turn. Again, good job. He gets to the right of the ball, works his way back, does his little glove tap, glove out wide, glove in a not very good position here, and then last second, turn the glove over. I don't like any of that stuff, but from here, good. Uses his body well, follows his throw really well. So, a really nice turn. Same thing here. Very good feed, throwing from the ground up, or throwing down to up, excuse me. And then you see him turn a couple here. Same thing, good hands, good transfer, strong arm. So after this slow roller, we'll go to some hitting real quick. And the biggest thing you'll notice with hitting, the first couple, he's just kind of getting loose. He doesn't really take an aggressive swing for a little bit. But the biggest thing you're going to notice is just, he doesn't have great bat speed. And obviously right now he lacks a little bit of strength. And that's something that's going to come as he gets older, hopefully. And with most shortstops and with most young high school players, the bat is typically the question. I think you can look at Crawford and look at Mercado and think that they can both play shortstop, but will the bat ever come? And will it come enough? Now, obviously at shortstop, you don't have to have the bat come along as much as other positions, but today's game is a little bit different than it was back in the day, where shortstops now can hit, and there's a lot of shortstops that can hit. Defense is kind of making its way back into the game a little bit more now, after that whole era back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and we're getting back to a little bit more of a pitching and defense game. So the offense has been down a little bit the last few years, but you still have to be able to hit the ball. You still have to be able to swing the bat a little bit. You can't really be a liability on offense unless you're just one of the top shortstops in the world at the big league level. So that's one question mark with him. As far as hitting mechanics go, I actually like his hitting mechanics, and I think that you can see if he adds strength and gets a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger, I think the bat will start to play pretty well. And just for teaching points again for you guys, one thing that I like is how he gets, we talk a lot about getting that separation, and when you make your move, you make your positive move towards the pitcher and you take your stride, that your hands work in the opposite direction, or at least your hands stay back and you walk away from your hands. So you're trying to get that separation from basically hands to front of your body. You're trying to get that stretch or that tension. And so that helps him create a little bit more, especially for guys that aren't big in stature, aren't super strong. The big, strong guys don't have to rely on it as much because they can make up for it with their strength and their size. But for guys that aren't that big, you have to rely even more on your mechanics. And so this is the move right here where you can see that he starts to, if I put the cursor on his front hip and he makes that move past my cursor right there, that positive move, you can see that the hands are setting back and staying back. So you're getting an opposite. The body's moving one way, the hands are setting back, and that's where you get the tension in the body. And he gets his hands back, he gets length in his lead arm, a lot of things I talked about that high-level hitters are doing. And that gets him a little bit more. But still, the bat speed just, it isn't great. It's, I'd say it's average. And that's the big thing. I think that's the biggest question mark. Is it going to improve enough to play? And he's still very, very young. He's a high school player. And through my career, I've seen a lot of high school players. The first year, I'll see them in spring training. And I'll think, wow, this guy's got a long way to go. And within a couple years, they really develop. And I think back to myself, I don't know if I said freshman year. I might have misspoke a second ago, but you see a player when they come as their first year out of high school is what I meant to say. And you'll think, wow, this guy has a long ways to go. He's a high school player. And then in a few years, you look at him again and say, wow, this guy's come a long way really quickly. And I think back to myself, back when I was a senior in high school, and when I got to college as a freshman, I decided to go to college instead of going professionally. But when I got to college, I think of just the huge strides I made from my freshman year of college to my junior year. So that 18 to 20, 21-year-old range, you make huge improvements and huge gains in everything. And I went from a player, coming into college, my freshman year, I weighed about $185. I was 6 foot tall. And I left college at 6 foot. About 215 is what I played my junior year. So I added a tremendous amount of weight and strength, and I went from a guy that hit 2 home runs my freshman year, which I was really excited. When I hit 2 home runs my freshman year, I didn't hit much power at all in high school. And when I hit 2 home runs my freshman year, I said, okay, I can hit home runs. And then my junior year, I hit 11, so I hit more than 5 times as many home runs. And my 11 home runs my junior year, I was actually really disappointed. I thought I should have hit a lot more than 11 home runs, and I really slumped bad towards the end of the year, and I didn't hit for as much power as I wanted to. But you can see how much you improve as a player in that range. When you're a senior in high school, when you're a 17-year-old kid, there's so much more to your game that you're going to develop into over the next few years. So I think he's going to do that as well. So that's my report on Mercado. We can learn a lot from him. We can try to take parts of his game and put it into our game, and help us become a better player. And hopefully one day, if you're a guy that wants to get drafted, you hear your name called on draft day, because it is pretty cool. So that's all I got. Share the video with your friends. Like it. Subscribe to the channel. Comment in the section below. Let me know if you have any questions, and we will talk to you later.